path and get to the stairs on the far right. Up here, as you're climbing up the staircase, if you move over to the right and do some diagonal shots, you can take out the skeleton with the sword, and then if you need some health, break open the right wall in order to grab a full health replenishment. Jump over the hands that are in the background so you don't end up being grabbed and one of the skeletons have an easy shot at you. You can see there's a few skeletons that just kind of stay there frozen in the background, and they won't actually come to life until you actually get grabbed. So if you don't get grabbed, you don't have to deal with them. Up here, use some items in your whip to take out all the caskets, and then continue going to the right as we're getting near the boss battle. The last few enemies that we really have to deal with are a couple of evil possessed tables. Thankfully though, they don't move unless you're really close to them, so just take them out from a distance. The dancing couple ghosts can get a little bit annoying as they come at you, but you can usually use your whip to hit in different directions, so you should have no trouble taking those guys out. If you need an extra 1-up, you can break the right wall right there in order to grab a free extra life. Then climb up the stairs and get ready for the boss battle. The boss battle for this stage is the Dancing Ghost Couple. This is probably one of the cooler bosses for me, as they continue dancing in the background, and then they'll disappear, reappearing with different types of moves, including being able to do a double sword attack where they'll fly straight across the screen at you. Using your whip and items though, since they move pretty sporadically around the room and usually hover above you, that'll give you plenty of opportunities to deliver hits to them, to take them out, and move on to the next level. Level 7 takes place inside of the gallery, or library part of the castle. There's a few new enemies, including another type of soldier enemy besides the axe armors to deal with. Honestly, these soldiers, the ones that carry the spears, really aren't much more of a threat than the axe armors, since you can pretty much hit them from a good distance, either with projectile weaponry or with your whip. By now, at this point, we should be pretty good against the axe armors, and that'll come in handy since there is a good amount of them throughout this stage. Watch out for the skeleton ghosts as well. Those can be a little bit annoying and take several hits to take out, plus they float around following you along the stage, so take those out as soon as they spawn. You can see that one I didn't take out that was a little bit too high for me to hit with my whip at the time, followed me all the way to the stairs where I went down. During this portion, you're really supposed to travel down all the sets of stairs, yet if you play the game a few times or play the stage at least a couple times, you'll know that you can jump off at certain points to go past lots of different levels of the stage very quickly. After that, in the next area, we have some floating books that move in different types of patterns. For example, the one right here moves in a Z-shaped pattern, so get used to that and don't try to jump off prematurely and end up falling down into the pit. Over here in the gallery part of the level, we have paintings in the background that are actually kind of alive. The hand of the painting will actually come out and grab you, similar to the arms from the graveyard level, in which case they freeze you in place and allow the bats that came out to have a chance at a free hit against you. Move quickly under the spikes. If the bump in the rug forms and you're still under the spikes, be sure to duck down so your head doesn't end up hitting the spikes and you end up dying that way. In this area, we have another weird enemy that we only see one time in the whole game. This weird armed snake type enemy is a real nuisance because of how it moves. However, come over to about here, jump up and fall through the platform that spins so that you can quickly get to the steps and you don't even have to deal with it. In this area, you're definitely going to have to duck because you won't be able to move fast enough in order to get past the spikes before the bump in the rug catches up with you. Up here, watch out for some more axe armors, as well as some of those monsters that creep up from the background and try to club you. There's also another one of those paintings that'll grab you, so watch out for that as the bats will horde to you right afterwards. Then it's time for the boss battle, against a large statue version similar to some of the other enemies we've been fighting throughout here. Start by throwing out some projectiles at it or using your whip. If you're quick enough with it and can use some projectiles, it'll greatly help you, and you may be able to take out the boss before he's able to even hit you once. The real key to the battle is just keep your distance from him. Your long enough whip should be plenty of distance so that you can hit him without him really being able to reach you. Midway through the battle, his weapon does change, but your strategy really shouldn't. After you grab the orb, the ground breaks apart and you move on to level 8. Level 8, the prison area of Castlevania, is definitely my least favorite level and the hardest one to get through. There's a lot of traps throughout the stage, including some spikes that will constantly be dropping down throughout the level that are instant deaths, of course. One of the absolute most annoying enemies in this part of the game is the eyeballs that float over you and drip down blood at you. They take multiple hits to take out, and they keep floating over back and forth around your head, and usually they like to be just out of your reach sometimes, and just where it's going to be really annoying that they keep hitting you when you're trying to dodge spikes. Be very careful here. The eyeball overhead will drip on you, and if you're not careful, it will end up hitting you and can knock you back into the spikes, which will be an instant death. After you take out it, be sure to take out the dragon across from you so that the fireballs don't end up knocking you back into the water. Once we get up here, be sure to duck under the swinging spikes. Then wait for these spikes to come down so that you can jump on top of them, and then, if you want to, you can jump onto the other swinging spikes to get across to the next area. Most of this level is just taking your time and seeing how the spikes come down at you so that you can time your jumps accordingly. Move quickly along the next segment because the blocks will be falling behind you as you move across. This is another area where the cross weapon will come definitely in handy, as well as using your whip a few times to take out some bats. When you get here, memorizing the area a few times will allow you to jump through some of the staircases instead of actually having to climb down each and every one of them. Instead of going left here, you can actually go to the right underneath the spike in order to get down here to get to the next area. Here's another one of the areas where you have to be very careful and very slow. Move under the first one, then duck down, and do a crawling move along the floor to get under the second one, so you don't end up hitting the spikes. Be careful here if you're going to jump on the platform. Jump straight up again. When the spike swings closer, you can jump on top of it and get over. Unfortunately, another one of those eye enemies are going to try to get in your way. Try to take that out before attempting to make it any farther. With spikes projecting down from the ceiling, you can either take your time slowly and just walk under each time everyone goes up, or if you do a crawling motion, you'll be able to get under them that way. That little bridge can be tricky right before the boss because of the disappearing platforms. Just be very careful and get ready for the Frankenstein boss. Here's another time where the crosses really help out, especially if you have a multiple projectile shootout like I do. You'll hit the boss a ton of times before he's able to even get close to you. Then, if you need to, when he gets close, just start using your whip ability. Even when he uses his potions to do transformations, you'll have a good opportunity to be far enough away so that you can get away from the other transformation that comes out. or be able to dodge all the other potions he shoots out, such as the one that causes fire across the ground. Once he's done, throw up your whip if you want to celebrate, and we move on to the next level. Stage number 9 takes place in the Treasury of Castlevania, and it's another really cool designed stage. The whole stage is filled with different amounts of gold mounds that you can climb up and down, treasure chests that fill it, gold skeletons, and of course you can see the weird, cool ghost background that keeps going up. One of the other interesting platforms in the game is one that I just walked over. It's a little pile of gold hanging on a chain, and when you jump on it, it starts breaking apart as the gold falls, as you have to make quick jumps if you want to use them in order to get up to the platforms that they lead to. I have to admit that I have always had a little bit of trouble dealing with those platforms, and I usually don't end up making it to the platforms that they lead up to. Be very careful walking across here, and you may need to jump a time or two in order to get across all the gold as it breaks apart. Here we have some gold swinging chains that we can use in order to get up to a few platforms, and it's the first real time where you can swing to multiple platforms right in a row of one another. Up there, though, is a piece of health if you do need it at this point in the level. Here's some more breakaway gold. Just be very careful using your jumps so that you can get across, and it doesn't break apart right on you and you end up falling right down. Here's another one of those dragon skeletons. Sit on the edge here of the platform, and you should be able to hit him, and he won't be able to hit you unless you get really close. Swing across the chains if you want to get to another platform area, or head down past the caskets and continue on through the stage. Be careful here, as you'll have a direct shot from the dragon skeleton, and this one can be a little bit harder to dodge because the fireballs will most likely be coming directly at your face. As you swing across here, below you is a whole bit of gold. If you fall into that mound of gold, you actually start sinking into it just like you would with quicksand. Here, stand near the platform and wait for the bricks to fall down to your liking, then start moving across very quickly. If you're fast enough, you'll be able to get past all the bricks without some of them falling directly on top of you. Right here, stand still and wait for the wind to pull you into it, and when it does, you'll be taken to another one of the secret areas in Castlevania IV. There's not a whole lot to grab there, but there is some health if you do need it, and once you're done with it, just grab yourself into the next hole that's pulling you in, and you'll be teleported right back to where you were. While climbing up, like many of the up-climbing areas of Castlevania IV, just take your time taking out those enemies. And the only thing you really gotta be careful of, especially when climbing up, is that you don't accidentally swing and fall down or jump down once the screen's scrolled up, or you will lose a life. After a few more of the skeleton enemies, it's time for the boss battle of the stage. The boss is a giant golden bat made of, well, all gold. As you start to hit it, pieces of it will start to fall off. If you keep repeating hitting it, it'll just keep breaking and breaking apart. All the little pieces that do break off can hurt you, as you can see right there, but as you keep hitting them though, you can stop them from actually making those pieces fall all the way